with that note, I just invite our guest speaker, Mr. Shankaran Padipurakal. Shankaran ji, thank you very much for joining the session. You are late. The session is late, running late by 10-15 minutes. Okay, so apology for that. So we are talking about distribution management by Mr. Shankaran. Okay, so again, Mr. Shankaran is very experienced in supply chain, especially warehousing, logistics, 3PL, last mile delivery, you name it. Okay, just let me give a quick introduction. Mr. Shankaran, a highly accomplished supply chain leader with over 20 years of experience in planning and managing end-to-end supply chain operations. Noted for driving cost savings, productivity enhancements, process improvements, and revenue growth across diversified industries. So let's supply chain for reputed companies in UAE. I think we can hear from Shankaran ji a little more because he's helping a great companies. So Shankaran ji, over to you. You can give a quick update from your side, and then let's enjoy distribution management.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And as Mr. Abdul mentioned, I have been into supply chain for the last 2 decades, and I have led various companies across diversified industries in this part of the world and India. I am currently heading the e-commerce for Hindu logistics. I just recently taken over this role. Before that, I was head of supply chain for Trubal Marketing and Trading, which is a leading FMCG company in this part of the world. In today's session, I will share my experiences and expertise in driving efficiencies in distribution management, and I hope I'll be able to add some value to you all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, while sharing, you can put the presentation into a PPT mode, and share it. So it will.
Is it coming?
Perfect. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So first of all, I see my strengths are setting up distribution platforms. And the platform wherever I have set, even my previous one has been considered as a benchmark in this part of the world. We represent close to 150 principals worldwide. Out of that, 70% are in Europe, and the rest are in North America, Far East, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, and India also. From India, we represented ITC. That's the brand we represent. All these people have visited us, evaluated our logistics setup and distribution platform, and they have what would I say, the right terminology? They have agreed that what we have is a benchmark in the industry, and we take pride in showcasing this to our partners. Today, I'm going to share the various measures I have initiated in distribution in my previous stints. And first, let's get into important factors in distribution. Before taking any decisions, first we need to see what is the size of fleet we need to manage our distribution. This would again depend upon your market size and the geographical area, the type, nature of business. When I say size, I mean the area which you're covering obviously would be directly proportional to the number of resources you deploy. Then the type of business, if it is a volume-driven business like water or other commodities, that is again a volume-intensive model where you would be requiring more vehicles. And whereas when you have a diversified portfolio and you have all kinds of products, you have chill, dry, frozen, and ambient products, then you would be requiring temperature control distribution solutions. So you need to consider all these things and then plan your distribution strategy. Then, as I told, the type of fleet also you have, based on the nature of the products that you handle. It could be a simple dry fleet, or you could be going for a temperature control fleet. And when you go for a temperature control fleet, also the intricacies uh, are more complicated based on the type of the products. If you plan to, like in my case, we were having uh, dry, ambient, chill, and frozen, all the four categories which were to be transported to the market. And we could come out with some innovative solutions where we could take all the four together on one truck. And I'll show some pictures later. Similarly, your maintenance cost. Um, this is again another important aspect which has to be considered. Your maintenance, if the vehicle, the fleet is not properly managed, you will end up incurring a significant cost towards maintenance. So it is very pertinent that you should take the right kind of vehicles and ensure your drivers also properly trained. And it's not only training, as my previous speaker mentioned, you have to rely on the people who are managing these assets. And First, you have to impart the right kind of skills. In our case, we are the entire fleet of um, drivers. Everybody were trained by Toyota. And it's not only that, we also made sure that they were incentivized and motivated. So if we used to have this fuel limits for each week routes set based on the nature of the route, and we have these incentives arranged. We set a budget for fuel and maintenance, and we monitor every quarter what is the kind of maintenance incurred on that vehicle and what is the kind of fuel we consume. If there is any significant savings in terms of maintenance costs and fuel costs, we make sure the driver gets incentivized for that. And it's actually these kind of things that motivate and make the people self-driven. Fuel is also another aspect which one has to consider when you are planning for your distribution. And sustainability. Sustainability is, again, it's more than social responsibility. In my case, I think sustainability always drives efficiency. It is a business necessity. I will share my experiences and knowledge in subsequent slides. As I told you, when you're looking at size, you need to look at the requirement, which I've covered earlier, and based on the nature of your industry, then the area to be covered, what's the extent of area that has to be covered. In my case, we have around 200, about 250 kilometers from north to south, and another probably 100 kilometers from east to west. So similarly, you need to see the area that has to be covered. Your travel time also has to be considered while you're planning for your distribution fleet. Then another important aspect is your delivery window restrictions. You will have customers who have certain times during which you're supposed to do the deliveries. So these also will be a constraint in your distribution. So you need to ensure you plan your size considering these delivery windows. Each industry, as I told you, type of industry, each industry is different. So if it is a load intensive in an industry like water, or your rice, flour, and other commodities, or even your non-food industrial and all, they could be, then that calls for a different type of fleet. And if you have a temperature sensitive or a mixed bag, then you will have to go for temperature control solutions. And traffic is also another aspect which has to be considered. If you are driving through city limits, then there will be your traffic restrictions. The traffic will be dense. And if you're doing in the outskirts, obviously the traffic will be less, but the distance to be covered could be possibly more. Another factor one has to consider is it in-house or outsourced? I personally feel in-house makes better business sense over outsource. And in fact, when I joined my previous role, most of the fleet was outsourced, and I had to convert them into in-house. When we do it in-house, what happens? Only thing is your responsibility increases, but the benefits that you derive out of it are far more significant. And I, being very passionate in what I do, I have taken over the responsibility, and the savings were there to speak for themselves. When you have an outsourced fleet, you have a set budget which you have to apportion every month. And when we went into an in-house model, I just had to incur 3/4 of the cost. And over a period of 4 years, we could, break even. We could recover the cost on the investment. And post the fourth year, it was only savings. And again, as I said, your maintenance is certainly a key component, but it again depends upon how you manage your drivers, and that certainly makes a difference. In our case, first of all, we made sure they were imparted with the right kind of training. All the drivers were trained by Toyota, and even the vehicles that we have selected are again, we look at a cost of ownership model rather than an upfront cost model. So we went in for good brands. We tested the way we look at cost of ownership is we look at the upfront cost and cost of maintenance over a period of 5 years minus the residual value. This is how we derive on the cost of ownership. And based on that, Toyota was a clear winner, and we went for their vehicles, and the efficiencies were there to speak for themselves. Not only that, in addition to imparting the right kind of skills, we also encourage the drivers to implement and practice it. And that happens when you put some tangible benefits with it. So if a vehicle is driven properly, the wear and tear is reduced, they make sure the tire conditions are good, the load is right, and it's driven properly. It also minimizes your maintenance costs and also drives fuel efficiency. So these are again, aspects one should consider while you look into the type of fleet. And this is an innovative solution that was introduced by us in distribution. The vehicle that you see here has 3 compartments. And why we went for Toyota is it had a longer chassis than its competitors. So I could carry 2 pallets in the first compartment where I can contain the temperature to -18 to -20, which is frozen. In the middle, I can put another 2 pallets, which will be chilled, where the temperature is 0 to 4 degrees. And then the last compartment, I can take 4 pallets where I can put my dry and ambient goods together, which means I am eliminating the need of assigning 2 vehicles for 1 delivery. All my deliveries happen on 1 vehicle. This has certainly made a significant difference to our costs and operations. Then the beauty of the solution is the partitions are movable. So I can use it as a single storage, dual storage, or a triple storage. I can play with any permutation or combination. Another experience which I would like to share with you was in my previous prior to Trubel, I was with a major water distribution company, and over there the distribution from the plant to the warehouses was a significant amount. We used to incur a cost of nearly 12 million dirhams an annum, and because all the transport requirements was outsourced, and there we used to use the regular trailers which carry 25 tons payload at in one trip. There I designed a trailer which could carry up to 60 tons in one trip, and we purchased trailers, designed them, and started operating. You won't believe, in 18 months, we had the ROI on investment. And after that, we were looking at a saving of 7 million per annum. So unfortunately, I don't know the images, but if you happen to see one of those of you who are in this part of the world, if you happen to see those large trailers of Masafi, that's my brainchild. And I mean, that has certainly made a big impact on the operational costs. And not only that, it also drives, as I told you, efficiencies and promotes sustainability. When you have one vehicle which can carry more than 2 vehicles payload, you're reducing the impact on the environment. Next is your fleet utilization. This is again a major area which is always what you call overlooked. My experience in this part of the world is over 90% of the industry doesn't utilize their distribution fleet efficiently. And you don't have to go for what you call high-tech software solutions. Very simple logics have to be put in place. You have to do a load planning and route optimization. When the way we do load planning is every product that is inside the warehouse, the what you call volume and weight are captured in the item masters. So the system can derive the volume and weight per each order. Similarly, the capacity and where both the volume and weight capacity of each vehicle is also captured in the system. So when you process an order, the system will be able to derive what is the volume of this order and what is the weight of the order, which is again mapped against the what you call load capacity of the vehicle, and make sure that you utilize the vehicle properly. Often the vertical space is not utilized properly. So when you do a proper planning, you can make sure the vehicle is utilized above 80%. And that certainly makes a big difference. It will not only reduce the number of vehicles, it will decrease your operational costs, drive operational efficiencies, and certainly promote environmental clauses. Route optimization over here also, you have to make sure that the drops are sequenced on last in first out basis, which means the moment the driver hits the customer's premise, a order is right in the forefront. He doesn't have to search for the order inside the vehicle. Everything is pre-packed and kept in the vehicle. So the moment he opens the door, the particular customer's order will be appearing right in front of him. He just has to open, especially when you are operating a temperature control fleet, reefer fleet. This thing plays a major role because every time you open the door, your temperature is compromised. So if you plan things and arrange it in an organized manner, you save a lot. Otherwise, what happens is, especially when you have carrying chilled products vehicle, they are super sensitive, and in extreme climates in winter, in summer over here, the temperature reaches almost up to 50 degrees. And every time I open a door and leave it open, my chill stocks go for a toss. So it is important that we what you call do a proper load planning and make sure the load is properly placed inside the. So you open and instantly pick the customer's order and close it. So you don't compromise much on your thermal efficiencies, and it also drives your fuel efficiency. So these are certain what you call solutions that will make a big difference for your distribution. And I strongly recommend that for your distribution operations, please make sure you have a load planning and route optimization. And trust me, this is not rocket science. It's pretty straightforward. As I told you, every products you need to make sure the weight and volume is captured in the system at the time of receiving or registering the item masters. And similarly, you have to capture the volume and weight specifications of each and every vehicle. And the system will ensure that you utilize the fleet properly. You also have to factor the delivery windows, if at all there any, and this will ensure that the distribution operates at a very high level of efficiencies. Fuel is again give you my case studies. When I joined my previous company, we were purchasing fuel from the fuel stations, and we had a credit arrangement with the fuel companies, wherein we had to put more than 2 months of fuel cost as upfront payment. And then daily the vehicles go to the fuel stations. They, on an average, they spend about 25 minutes. And that is what you call precious time for our operations. And not only that, since the entire fleet is refrigerated, the moment you turn on the ignition in the morning, till they come back in the evening, the vehicle keeps running. That is fuel consumption for us also. And what I did is, we luckily there were some developments in the industry. We had companies who came out with solutions of providing fuel on premise. And I approached one of the companies, and not only that, we negotiated a better price. I got 15% less than the bunk price. On top of it, the payment terms was also moved to a credit arrangement. Earlier we were paying upfront. Now we pay 1 month after the invoices are generated, which are generated towards end of the month. And the fueling happens on premise in the night. All our fleet vehicles are back in the distribution hub by 9 in the evening. And these people come late night around 12 and refuel all these vehicles. Next day morning, when the drivers report for work, they find that the vehicles are fully refueled. They don't have to go to the fuel stations and spend time there, and they can straight away get on to work. So what happens is you get additional time for fulfilling the deliveries, and you're also saving that additional 25 or 30 minutes that you spend at the fuel station. That is available. That fuel is also available. And if I have to put things in a tangible perspective, I was putting 900 trucks off-road in a year. So these simple aspects, when you consider, it certainly makes a difference from all aspects, be it driving business efficiencies or promoting environment. This is what I said, as again, the sustainability part I have already covered in my previous slides. And I'd like to again go through it quickly. In-house refueling, I just completed. Fuel consumption. See, for sure, you need to look at good brands which have a track record of good fuel consumption. And on top of it, you have to impart the skills to your team to make sure they operate the vehicles in the right manner. And not only that, if you really want, if you're genuinely interested and keen on driving efficiencies, it has to be a win-win proposition. You set up a budget and then clearly communicate with your team that this is the budget that I have for the maintenance and fuel cost savings. And every person or individual is assigned a part of that. If they manage to save something out of it, a portion of that can be given to them as incentives. Trust me, you do not have to invest in any high-tech, what you call softwares. You will see that the efficiencies will come just like that. And one more, factor that can certainly promote efficiencies is in countries or areas where you do not have any, legal obligations. If you can utilize your return trips, because in the distribution companies, often what happens is you go with one-way load. Return trips often are empty trips. If you have tie-up with some customers and get their products to your place, I mean, like in our case, our vehicles go from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, all other Emirates, and return trips are empty. We have tie-ups with some people, and if they have any requirements, they approach us and they put the vehicle item on our truck, and we give them a competitive price. And not only that, it also covers our cost. So we try to salvage some of the cost. And not on, then again, when it comes to sustainability, we are avoiding another vehicle on the road, because our vehicle which is coming empty has taken that load. So that is also promoting the environmental cost. And this is an opportunity which exists across all over, and it is something that one should seriously look into. And I think I have covered most of the points. If you all have any questions, you may feel free to ask.
Hi. So fantastic insights. Sorry, let me just mute it. Yeah, again.
I hope I managed to save some time for you, Mr. Abdul.
Yeah, you did save, but that's fine. So we have time. Yeah, we have a few more
So you
minutes
can
to.
ask questions, and
Yeah.
let's see.
So now you nicely said about the key points we need to take care for the distribution management. Okay. So from the global context, okay, for the mid-size organizations, yeah, when you are talking about the larger organizations where they can do necessary investments, okay, for the overall distribution management. What about the mid-size organizations? What about the startups? So what is your advice who are venturing into a distribution business? Uh, Shankaranji?
See, it's apparently the same. See, I mean, uh, maybe you can consider outsourcing initially, but again, I gave the number. The numbers are there to speak for themselves. I just spent about 3/4 of what I was paying to an outsourced vehicle as an EMI, and in 4 years, I was able to recover the cost. So it's entirely up to this. If you feel that your business is good enough, more or less good enough, and I would strongly recommend to go for an in-house solution. And if you are uncertain, then you can start off with an outsource. And once there is an element of certainty creeping in, then you could look at what you call in-house solutions.
So from the cost point of view, yes, outsourcing to a third party is definitely from the performance point of view, yes, this is more beneficial. There is no question about it. At service levels kind of thing. But when it comes to cost, what is the difference you find out, like outsourcing versus in-house? Because you must operate at a very efficient rate when you have it in-house. So what is your take on that?
So that is what I told. See, the way we did it is when we purchased the assets, we had an AMC for 5 years with the vendors. So the
Mhm.
vehicle maintenance is entirely on them.
So we can we can stop screen share so we can see, the audience can see you
Yeah.
in a full screen. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
what I see when we go for, along with the cost, we have an enter into AMC with the vendor. So we have 5 years AMC, and we looked at the regular maintenance that is required over a period of 5 years. And since we had volume, the number of vehicles were high, we could negotiate a good deal. And then the maintenance was entirely on the OEM company. And 5 years is a reasonable period. By then, what happens is we also have a decent exposure on the main operations and maintenance. And then we could, if required, continue with them, or there are other parties in the market who could offer you more competitive rates. But again, a key component over here is how your manages or makes use of the assets. So the driver behavior is a key aspect that has to be factored when you take decisions. So if you have the right kind of people, impart the skills, and they have the right what you call temperament, and we can make it. And again, as I said, in order to motivate people drive, you need to ensure that they also get something in return. Otherwise, what happens is often people neglect this and take things for granted. And it's a penny wise, pound foolish approach. They don't mind incurring numerous costs on maintenance, but they don't realize that if you initiate these small measures, it will make a big difference to the business.
Mhm. Yeah, and this outsourcing also, it need not be 100%. You can have a partial outsourcing plan. So you maintain it in-house, and then any kind of surge in the demand, you can always outsource. So you can get experience in both modes. That will be helpful for you to grow. Yeah. Mhm.
See, outsource again, you have a dry lease and wet lease. If you're looking at a dry lease, you have to factor the drivers and other crew from your in-house. And
Mhm.
if it is wet lease, then it comes with its own challenges. It is industry specific. If you are in a food industry, you have to make sure the person who's coming on board to offer services has all the permits in place, which is a challenge. Not everybody has it. So it is again industry specific. So, and again, I told you, when you have an outsource, it comes with a cost. If you're willing to, incur those kind of costs, it's your call.
Correct. 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 Now, Shankaranji, especially when you talk about India, the logistics business is still unorganized. Okay, so there are big players like delivery and other, but still the majority part of the logistics is still unorganized. Okay. Now, one of the most important part in this is the drivers. So drivers are not very well organized. So they don't, still the companies or the economy does not consider driver very important part of the logistics. So that's the reason, they are not treated as they should be treated. So because of that, the drivers does not take the ownership of the fleet management kind of thing. So that is the reason, if you want to give them any responsibility other than taking the truck from A to B, like using any application or something. So they are reluctant. Okay. So what do you see for next 2, 3, 5 years down the road? How this logistics business, distribution management business, taking shape with all these technologies and all? So what is that like? Do the drivers need to use any apps like the fleet transportation management to track and trace and then to update that information, or it should be AI driven? So what is the next 2, 3, 5 years? What do you think about the transformation in this industry?
See, there are multiple aspects that have to be considered. First, it is the deportment of the top management, how you look at these resources. Are they a key player in the entire scheme, or you just take them for granted? When you take them for granted, then obviously you can't expect much out of them. But if you take the drivers as a stakeholder in the business and value their inputs, again, before taking a resource on board, you have to do your due diligence and make sure the individual has the right kind of traits to be a part of your team. And when they are in your team, it becomes your responsibility to ensure they are properly managed. You cannot take them for granted. Make them feel that they are very much a vital component in the entire scheme, and take their inputs. And as I told you, as we've been doing, we set up a budget for maintenance and fuel consumption, share it with them, and also make sure they are trained in the right manner. Then ask them to drive the efficiencies. Then what happens is they take ownership of the business,
Mm.
and then you can see the efficiencies driving in by themselves. Having said that, technology is also a critical element. You cannot rule out the benefits of technology. See, it certainly enables so many things. It can ensure efficiencies. Supposing you have uh, two vehicles plying in adjacent routes, and one vehicle has completed its trips, the other vehicle is lagging behind because of delays at some such. If you have visibility on what is happening, then you can cannibalize. You can send the empty vehicle to the other vehicle, ask him to take the remaining part of the load, and ensure your deliveries are completed. And so these are certainly some things which technology enables. And so technology also has a role. And similarly, when you're operating cross country, if you have an empty vehicle in any particular place, especially return logistics, and the data is shared with customers, prospective customers, and if they have a load, it what you call promotes environmental costs, and also the say makes a significant impact on the costs for the stakeholders, both the customer as well as the provider.
Yeah, I think the technology has its own advantages,
Yes,
but
please.
it's all about the leadership, how you deal with the business.
Certainly, it makes a difference.
Thing. I think it's very the people nowadays going for 3PL operations. Again, 3PL operations, they drive profitability. So there is always a possibility that there is somewhere there is a problem. So you did a great job of doing in-house. That is something which is
See,
commendable.
3PL, when you go for 3PL, it comes at a cost.
Yes. Mhm. Mhm.
So it again depends. If you are willing to incur those costs, it's fine. Having said that, you also have to evaluate the 3PL operators. How competent are they? Are they just doing a superficial approach, or they have the required expertise? Otherwise, what happens is often anybody with a truck starts a 3PL operation, but there's much more to it. So you need to have people who have the understanding of the industry business, and when you partner with them, you have the right kind of efficiencies. Otherwise, it leads to various challenges.
Yeah. The service levels, and also the driver behavior,
Yeah.
they have to feel that it's their own. And then it is not about fighting and doing all
See,
sort of.
you cannot approach any Tom, Dick, and Harry who has a vehicle for logistics services. You need to make sure that that person has a good understanding on the business, and he has a pretty good understanding of supply chains.
So is this a reason like 4PL operators are coming up? Because to just consolidate this 3PL guys and then manage all this, is that the trend you look forward?
4PL is a value addition. So, and 3PL, see, the industry has all kinds of requirements. So 3PL players can be there for 3PL, 4PL. If people have those kind of requirements, 4PL people can approach. So it all depends upon the market, which kind of customers are you reaching out to.
Fantastic. So fantastic. That's a great insight. So let me see if there is some questions. The team, if they have any questions, please post it. Otherwise, I will ask. So top three takeaways for 2025. Uh, what do you advise the supply chain managers, logistics managers, warehouse managers? Okay, and then the new aspirants of supply chain, and then technical guys in supply chain. So, what is your key advice for 2025, Shankaranji?
See, in today's environment where the competition is getting more and more intense, the supply chain has a crucial role. The difference between the uh, best in the market is now by and large driven to supply chains. How efficiently you manage your supply chain drives the business and creates the difference between you and your competition. Especially when you are coming from countries where the cost of operations or resources are competitive compared to the rest of the world. Supply chain is a major component. It will make a big difference, and you can certainly uh, play a major role in promoting the larger costs. These countries have advantages of manufacturing, producing products and services at reasonably competitive prices from other parts of the world, and all those efficiencies directly are related to supply chain efficiencies. So if you are keen on pursuing supply chain or whoever is in the field, if you understand and appreciate the what you call your importance, you can make a big difference to the country, the economy, and in terms of a profession also, there is much for you to accomplish.
Perfect. Perfect. So thank you, Shankaranji. Thank you very much. With that note, I take this as an opportunity to thank Mr. Shankaran. He has joined from Dubai. He is a renowned supply chain leader in the industry and helping all kind of organizations.